Good morning. This is Hector Pelayo, and this is your program, Alma in the Community. Today we have a very, very special guest. We have a Navy captain, Mr. Steve Hoover, that comes here to join us and tell us about his candidacy for City Council. Welcome.
Thank you, Hector.
Well, what would you like to say to our audience?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, and this is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about what I stand for and my platform. I am a candidate for City Council because I love Oxnard, and I want to make Oxnard a great place to live, work, and play. I've been on the City Council for the last 3 years. I'm a member of my Neighborhood Watch, and I've been a youth leader. I've been around the city quite a bit, and I've noticed, particularly while I was on the Planning Commission, that we would send things forward to the City Council, and decisions weren't being made. And so I'd like to bring some leadership into the City Council and help us move the city forward. Some of the things I'm concerned about are public safety. We have to have a safe city so we can have a vibrant city. I'm also interested in the infrastructure, not just the roads, but I've visited all of our operating plants, and I've noticed that there's some equipment that is getting a little old. We're a 200,000 person city, and some of that equipment is about 170,000 person city. So we need to make sure that we take a look at that. And also I want to make sure that we have a responsible budget with healthy reserves, because we need to have that strong budget and reserves for our future, for our children, and for our families. And so I want to bring new life to Oxnard, and that's leadership, innovation, focus, and efficiency.
All right, that's great. So that brings me to the first question. So let's say if you were the king of Oxnard, and you didn't have to respond to Obama or the governor, you can do, whatever you please with. What would you do to change the way of, the life of our community?
Yeah. I've walked through the precincts and met with thousands of residents. I've met with a lot of the business owners. I've toured the city. I've looked at all our facilities, and we have a great place to live. I think we can make it better, though, because we have some areas that we need to work on. And so what I'd like to just describe a couple of those areas that I've noticed that our population is very diverse in age. And so we have an older population, and we particularly have a large youth population as well. And so if I could answer the elderly part first.
Yeah, for example, the elderly people, sometimes I will count myself in there now, so we've been neglected somehow. So I think it's time to revive that.
We are a great coastal city, and what we don't have is we don't have any 55 and older communities that are being considered. And so if a person wants to come to Oxnard, and I tell all my friends that when I grew up, went to the Naval Academy, and all my friends from college that are all over the U.S., they say, "Where's Oxnard?" And I say, well, it's halfway between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles, and we have the same beach that they do. Of course, everyone hears about their wonderful beaches, and I said, we have wonderful beaches as well. So if folks 55 or older want to come to Oxnard and they want to live in a community of folks that are similar age, there's no place for them to look right now. They have to look in Camarillo, or they have to look in another city, and that's just not Oxnard. That's not our great city. So we need to look at taking some of our infill, or we have some properties that are vacant right now that we could make into elderly or 55 and older communities. On the Planning Commission, we approved the Press Courier building to become a 55 and older community, and that is right by bus stops, parks. It's near downtown, and it'd be a great location for that. So that's a step. We have to continue to think about, as our population ages, we need to think about where are they going to live so we can keep them home, keep them here in Oxnard.
Oh, thank you. Also, we have a great group of youths that they need assistance also. What do you have in plan for that?
Yeah, one of the great things about the city is that I want to make sure that we have a safe city, and that with a safe city you have great places to play. And so we have a lot of parks, we have a lot of youth activities, and what we need to do is we need to make sure that we focus on those activities. About half the population is 18 or under, and so what we want to make sure that we do is that we incorporate them, our youth.
We're back with the Captain Steve Hoover, who is running for City Council. Well, we're going to continue with this questionnaire. I think So far, you've been answering very, very well your questions. So the next one is, what do you think about the nonprofits?
The nonprofits are a great entity to the city to help enhance our quality of life. Nonprofits cover a wide and vast and diverse range of opportunities for citizens to be involved in different activities. Cause, Boy Scouts, PAL, youth programs, food share. I could go on and on and on, but I'd miss someone, so I don't want to do that. But it's an opportunity to enhance the city. I said earlier that it takes a village for a community, and nonprofits are part of that. So when we look at things, we need to all work together and have conversations. How can the nonprofits help? How can they work with the city and the citizens and the residents so that it will enhance our quality of life? So I'd like to see the nonprofits continue and maybe expand if we can.
Okay. What would you tell the art community? I mean, our community. There's a lot of artists in town, and there's some galleries and that, a lot all over town. So, what can we do to enhance our public to come and visit them?
Oxnard has a secret art community, I'll call it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful gem that really needs to be branded and publicized. If you think about downtown Oxnard, we should have, it should be a destination place for art lovers. This very building has wonderful art throughout it, but people don't know about it. So it's a well-kept secret, and we need to stop that being a secret and make people be aware. So if I was king for the day and I could do something with downtown Oxnard, I'd love to make like an Old Town Oxnard, very similar to like Old Town San Diego, where there's artists mixed with businesses and mixed with restaurants and residents, and the art would really shine that way. So,
well, thank you. We have a very, very unique situation here with our homeless. What would you do to not control the whole situation, but at least alleviate the way we're doing business right now?
Yeah, we do have a homeless situation. We need to make sure that we feed the hungry and we house the homeless. Oxnard has an endless summer, so it's not like we have a homeless season. And so we need to consider year-round homeless shelters, year-round places where the homeless folks can go, and also places where they can be fed. And so we need to take a look at that and expand the opportunities that some of the nonprofits we were talking about earlier may be in a great situation to take care of our homeless population year-round, not just 10 months out of the year. So.
Okay. So what would you do to change the way business as usual now in the city, for example, for the new businesses or for the business that are established already, to expedite the permits to open a new business, for example?
Yeah, that's a great question. What it's talking to is efficiency. And when I say I want to bring new life to Oxnard, the E stands for efficiency. So we need to drive out waste. We need to get rid of the wasteful processes and make sure that we also get rid of the variation. You could go to the counter and one day be told one thing and the next day be told something else, and it's going to cost you more money. So we need to have consistent, efficient processes in the permitting side, and I think that will help. We don't have enough time for me to go on. I could go on for hours on this issue.
Well, it's but what would you have to change in order to have that happen?
Sure. A couple things. One is we need to make sure that we have the city staff appreciate the fact that the residents are our customers. We work for the residents and the businesses, and so that's the focus. We need to exceed their expectations. If we run the city like you would run a business, anybody that comes up to the counter, they're the number one person that we focus on. The other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we set standards so that you don't get a different story every time you come, and you don't have to pay more business taxes or fees. And so we need to have a new idea of who the customer is, the resident. We need to have a resident and business focus, and we need to make sure that we have standard processes so that it's an efficient process, and then we need to make sure that folks are having a good time. And finally, we need to then, every time we we have a resident or business that comes to the city, we need to ask them, how is our service? You know, when you go to a place like, you know, Sears, every time you buy something, they ask, how was our service? And that's how you get better and better and better. Every time you get feedback, it's a gift, and you get better with each.
I'll be afraid to ask that question right now if I was working for the city.
Well, we're going to change. We need to change that culture and change the tone and bring in a lot of, you know, a sea change in the way we look at how we do business.
So you could say, I have gone to different cities, and I have dealt with different process to get permits, and everybody else is different than we are. Mm-hmm. For us, it takes long time to get a permit if you get one. Mm-hmm. And it takes months, and especially in the business world where if you're coming in and you're renting a place and try to get off your feet, and then you're dragging 6-7 months or a year, like this building, for example, it's mm-hmm. over a year and a half trying to get a permit, and we still don't know when. That discourages people from coming in and bringing the business in town.
So we have this thing called computers now, and we have software that could help an applicant to get a permit to know before they even show up at the counter what they have to bring with them. And then as soon as they get there, they'd check in and their file would be started, and they could look online. They could check, they could go online with a password and say, how's my permit? Where is my permit? What's the next step? And then you'd be able to follow the path of your permit, and that would cut down the time just in that little step alone. And it's been done at the county already, and it makes it a more transparent process as well. So I think Oxnard can adopt that best practice and help the businesses that way.
So going back to the working adults, what would be the most feasible thing to do from your standpoint of view to bring businesses in so they can create more jobs, so our people don't have to travel to other cities to work?
Right. Our city manager is doing a fantastic job, and he's reorganizing the city staff so that we now have an economic development department. It used to be an agency that was, if you will, subcontracted to the city. Well, now that they work for the city, they need to make sure that they show Oxnard as a friendly place to work. And that takes into effect that businesses are number one, working adults will have a place that they don't have to drive outside of town, and that the permitting process is taken care of, and the attitude is changed so that we are the city of yes, not the city of no.
Well, thank you. Going back to the youth community, what would you do to bring more schools or any kind of special training so they can be ready for their future, rather than being in gangs and that kind of other activities that don't create any good?
Yeah, right from the early stages of youth, we need to make sure that we have leadership opportunities, we have after school programs. Sports is a great way to keep the youth involved, so we need to make sure that we expand the opportunities, and we have to have parks and fields to do that. So we need to work together with the city Parks and Recreation, and then we also need to make sure that we have the nonprofits that have opportunities for the youth. Some of the nonprofits are capable of expanding their programs. And the final thing I'd like to put a plug in for is that we have this wonderful golf course, and let's get the youth out there to learn how to play golf. And I'm sure the golf course would give them reduced fees or maybe even free. There's a first tee program where it's free. And so there's lots of opportunities like that. We have all these fields that we need to take care of to get more people out there. And then I know that each of these nonprofits that have a youth development program or a youth corps or whatever it is, some type of leadership program, so that they model the behavior that we want. And so as we model that behavior, then the youth, as they're growing up, will want to become city councilman or a mayor. And so I'd love to have that. I look forward to, hopefully I'll be teaching as many of the youth. So we need to take a look at the parks. Some of our parks need to be upgraded. We have College Park, which is a great place. But we also have Campus Park that is going to be a lot of acreage that can be used for playing fields. We have a shortage of playing fields. And so I've spoken to a lot of parents, and they're driving to Bakersfield or Valencia or San Diego or Peoria, Arizona for their children's games. So why don't we have those parents from Peoria and Bakersfield and Valencia come to Oxnard? And so we can bring that revenue into the city, and then people would start to love the city. So that's one thing. We also have a lot of youth programs that we need to support. Boys and Girls Club, La Colonia Boxing, PAL. Just to name a few, Boys and Girl Scouts. There's a ton of things. We need to make sure that we take care of our youth and build for the future, because they are going to be Oxnard in not too many years from now.
Right. So what would you say to the working community? I mean, what are your expectations for the future for the working community?
Right, the working community, what we need to do is we need to attract, retain, and expand or enhance the businesses that we have now. What I've noticed is that a lot of folks don't work in Oxnard. They live in Oxnard, but they don't work here. So we have opportunities with new technologies, agricultural technologies, and I'd like to see the downtown area have like why don't we have the fastest internet ring in the U.S. and then help to build incubators for business, and then have those folks, working adults, start their businesses here, keep their businesses here, so we're attracting them, we're retaining those businesses. And then in addition to that, the new businesses, but the existing businesses, I think that the City Council needs to maintain that relationship. You know, you have the Haas Automations, the Procter & Gamble's, et cetera, et cetera. We need to talk to them and say, hey, what can we do to help you build more spaces here, which means more jobs?
Well, that's great. So, you know, we have different neighborhoods, and some of them really need attention.
Right.
And, you know, as far as cleaning, as far as, you know, we have gains and all that stuff. What would you do to change that?
Yeah, we have 44 neighborhoods in the city, and we have an inter-neighborhood council forum, which is made up of each neighborhood has their own group of folks that meet to take care of their neighborhood. A couple of things we need to do with that is, one, we need to give the inter-neighborhood council forum more teeth with the council so that they can bring issues to the council and it'll be heard. So we need to hear what the neighbors have to say. The city needs to be involved in the neighborhoods as well. Beautification programs that have worked in other cities, et cetera. And one of the things that I think the city council can do is, you know, I'm in a studio here that could be broadcast from anywhere. So why can't we broadcast our city council meetings from anywhere in the city? So let's go to the neighborhoods and get some more citizen involvement that way. And that's what we need, is to get an active city and become a great city because our community is involved. And so let's get, it takes a village. It takes us all to be involved, and you know, the city can't forget about the neighborhoods. They need to be involved as well. So.
Well, thank you. What would you say to the business community?
Oxnard is a great place to work, and we have a great population, and we have great opportunities. And I'd say, let's have a conversation how we can help you expand. Let's have a conversation how we can get your supporting suppliers to move here as well, so that we have the entire supply chain in Oxnard. So Haas Automation has people that ship things in. Well, let's just have them move next door so they don't have to get in a truck. You know, they can just go across the parking lot. And so let's get more of the businesses to want to work here. But the other thing we have to do for that is we have to make sure that Oxnard is not the city of no, but we're the city of yes. So we need to make sure that the permitting process for the businesses is efficient, and we need to make sure that we're very accommodating to those businesses as well.
Well, thank you. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
What it's like to run for office and what it means to be civically engaged.
Well, thank you. You have the last word.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So I really love Oxnard, and hopefully you can see that this is my passion, and I just want to make sure I can do the best for the city. I work full-time, and I just love Oxnard. You can find out more about me at my website, which is www.steve4oxnard.com. And you can go to my Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and find out more about me. So thank you very much. I'm number one on the ballot by luck, but hopefully I'll be number one in your choice this election. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for
Hector.
being with us, and it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you in the future.